Welcome to Chapter 7. After the establishment of the strategy, the challenge facing the organization is the effective execution of the strategy. Specifically, how to implement the strategy plan into the daily business process. How can organizations achieve the expected strategic goals? In this chapter, we will examine how companies can ensure the effective execution of strategies through the design of organizational structure. We are going to learn 6 key elements in organizational design, mechanistic and organic structures, the contingency factor that affect organizational design and organizational design options. To illustrate the importance of organizational structure, I will give you a warm-up example first. This figure illustrates the hierarchical structure of the traditional management model. To respond to customers' demands, the frontline workers positioned at the bottom of the frame must report directly to the middle-level managers. The latter will decide if the market demand is worthy of attention, and the middle-level managers then screen what they consider essential to report to the top-level managers. The top-level managers then will formulate a proper strategy to grasp the market opportunity or to cope with a market threat. In terms of how to implement the strategy, information will be transmitted through middle-level managers. They will instruct the front-line workers on how to implement the strategy in detail. Under this structure, the top-level managers are the decision makers. The middle-level managers are information transmitters and the strategy implementation instructors. And the front-line workers cannot make any decision. The organizational structure designs the chain of commands and determines how authority is dispersed inside the organization. This figure illustrates what Haier did to transform its organizational structure. In the Internet age, customers' needs had become personalized and fast-changing. Zhang Ruimin, the CEO of Haier, determined to change the traditional management model to adapt to volatile environment. Therefore, to better stimulate employees' enthusiasm and meet customers' needs, Haier had developed the concept of individual goal combination win-win model. The model allows every employee to make their own decisions according to market changes. The most significant difference between this form and the traditional management model is that the front-line worker, not the top manager, make the company's decision. This is the famous inverted triangle structure of Haier. In this way, the employees who know the market information can make decisions based on the latest information. That is to say, the top manager no longer gives orders. His job is to ensure that different business entities can effectively collaborate to respond to market needs. This adjustment has dramatically improved the responsiveness of market and the performance of Haier. Haier is now the global brand, and Zhang is considered by many to be China's leading CEO. This chapter is designed to uncover the second function of managers, that is, organizing. What is organizing? Organizing is a management function that involves arranging and structuring work to accomplish the organizational goals. The purposes of organizing are as follows. Number 1, divide work to be done into specific jobs and departments. Number 2, assign tasks and responsibilities associated with individual jobs. Number 3, coordinate diverse organizational tasks. Number 4, cluster jobs into units. Number 5, establish relationships among individuals, groups, and departments. Number 6, establish formal lines of authority. Number 7, allocate and deploy organizational resources. Organizational structure is the formal arrangement of jobs within an organization. Organizational chart is the visual representation of an organizational structure. When managers create or change the structure, they engaged in organizational design, which is a process that involves decisions about 6 key elements, namely work specialization, departmentalization, chains of command, span of control, centralization and decentralization, and formalization. The organizational chart showcased here is one of the organizational designs indicating a wider span of management with decentralization mode. One of the key elements in structure design is to decide the extent of specialization. The chart shows work specialization on x-axis and productivity on y-axis. The values on both axes range from low to high, and this figure describes the relationship of work specialization and performance. Work specialization is dividing work activities into separate job tasks. Individual employees specialize in doing part of an activity rather than the entire activity in order to increase work output. It is also known as division of labor. Work specialization makes efficient use of diversity of workers' skills. Most managers today continue to see work specialization as important because it helps employees be more efficient. At some point, however, work specialization no longer leads to productivity. The human diseconomies from division of labor exceed the economic advantages because of boredom, fatigue, stress, low productivity, poor quality, increased absenteeism, and high turnover. The chart shows a curve that climbs up from low productivity at low work specialization, reaches a high peak at the middle of the work specialization, and drops further increase in specialization. The rising part of the curve is labeled impact from economies of specialization, and the declining part is labeled impact from human diseconomies. How jobs are grouped together is called departmentalization. Although an organization may develop its own unique classification, I would like to present 5 common forms of departmentalization as well as the advantages and disadvantages of each. Functional departmentalization means regrouping jobs according to function. The tree structure shows plant managers as the top manager, followed by manager of engineering, manager of accounting, manager of manufacturing, manager of human resources, manager of purchasing. The advantages of this structure are that it is efficient by putting together similar specialties and people with common skills, knowledge, and orientations. It is easier to coordinate within functional areas. It promotes the in-depth specialization. The disadvantages of this structure are that there might be poor communication across functional area, and each department may have limited view of the organizational goal. Geographic departmentalization means grouping jobs according to geographic region. The tree structure shows Vice President for Sales as the top manager here, followed by Sales Director of Western Region, Southern Region, Midwest Region, and Eastern Region. The advantages of this structure are that it is more effective and efficient handling of the special regional issues that arise. It serves needs of unique geographic markets better. The disadvantages of this structure are that there is duplication of functions. Each department may have their own functional departments, and each department can feel isolated from other organizational areas. Product departmentalization means regrouping jobs by product line. The tree structure is extracted from the corporate level. The Bombardier Limited is a large company with diversified products. The sectoral departments are divided according to 3 products, namely the mass transit, recreational and utility vehicle, and the rail products. The subsectional departments are also organized according to different segmentations of product. The advantages of this structure are that it allows specialization in particular products and services. Managers can become experts in their industry and closer to customers. The disadvantages of this structure are that there is duplications of function departments within each sector, and sectors have limited view of organizational goals. Process departmentalization means grouping jobs on the basis of product flow. The tree structure illustrates that the plant is structured based on the flow of its production, namely sewing, milling, assembling, lacquering, finishing, inspection, and shipping. The advantages of this department is that it is more efficient flow of work activities. The disadvantages of the structure is that it can only be used with certain types of products. Customer departmentalization means grouping jobs on the basis of specific and unique customers who have common needs. The tree structure is as follows. The director of sales is on the top, followed by retail, wholesales, and government accounts. The advantage of this departmentation is that customers' needs and problems can be met by specialists. The disadvantages are that there is also duplications of functions, and departments may have limited view of organizational goals. People need to know who their bosses is. That is what the chain of command is all about. The chain of command is a line of authority extending from upper organizational level to the lower levels. which clarifies who reports to who. Managers need to consider it when organizing work because it helps answer employees' questions such as who do I report to or who do I go to if I have a problem. To understand the chain of command, you have to know three other important concepts: authority, responsibility, and unit of command. Authority refers to the rights inherent in the managerial position to tell people what to do and to expect them to do it. Managers in chain of command have authority to do their job of coordinating and overseeing the work of others. Line authority entitles a manager to direct the work of an employee. It is the employer-employee authority relationship that extends from the top of the organization to the lowest level according to the chain of command. A manager with line authority has the right to direct the work of employees and to make certain decisions without consulting anyone. As an organization gets larger and more complex, line managers find that they do not have the time, expertise, and resources to get their jobs done effectively. In response, they create staff authority functions to support, assist, advise, and generally reduce some of their informational burdens. For instance, a hospital administrator who cannot effectively handle the purchasing of all the supplies the hospital needs creates a purchasing department, which is a staff function. The span of management means how many people can managers directly supervise effectively. The traditional view was that managers could not and should not directly supervise more than 5 or 6 subordinates. Determining the span of control is important because to a large degree it determines the number of levels and managers in organizations, which is an important consideration in how efficient an organization will be. The contemporary view of span of control recognized there is no magic number. Many factors influence the number of employees a manager can efficiently and effectively manage. The trend in recent years has been toward large span of control, which is consistent with the manager's effort to speed up decision-making, increase flexibility, get closer to customers, empower employees, and reduce costs. Assume two organizations, both have approximately 4,100 employees. As exhibited below, the span of 4 triangles shows 7 layers, resulting in 1,365 managers, while the span of 8 triangles shows 5 layers, resulting in 585 managers. The organization with the wider span will have 2 fewer levels and approximately 800 fewer managers. As an average manager's salary of $62,000 a year, the organization with wider span would save over $49 million a year. Obviously, wide span are more efficient in terms of cost. However, at some point, wider span may reduce effectiveness if employees' performance worsens because managers no longer have the time to lead effectively. In this page, I compare the advantages and disadvantages of the narrow and wide span for reference. Narrow span of management has relatively large number of hierarchical levels. The advantages are that there are close supervision, control, and communications between the subordinates and the supervisor. But more levels can lead to high cost, and subordinates can feel very nervous because superiors get too involved. There is a large distance between lowest level and the highest level. The advantages and the disadvantages of a wide span are just the opposite of narrow span, which has relatively few hierarchical levels, loose control, and facilitate delegation. This structure requires higher quality of managers and subordinates. This is the end of session. Thank you.